Whether you're making a pitch, writing a post, or giving a big presentation, you've got about 20 seconds. Yep, just 20 seconds to hook your audience before, poof, they're gone. So today, we're going to reverse engineer a formula to make those first 20 seconds absolutely count every single time. Let's do this. You've got this great idea, right? A message that you know is important, but you're fighting against this endless scroll of distractions. How in the world do you cut through all that noise and actually connect with someone? It's a problem we all face, and believe me, it is not getting any easier. Because here is the brutal reality of our modern world. The average professional gets interrupted every 3 minutes. Just let that sink in for a second. Every 3 minutes, their focus is completely shattered. That is the battlefield where we are all fighting for attention. But what if you didn't have to guess? What if there was a simple, repeatable structure to make sure your message not only gets heard, but it actually sticks right from that very first second? Well, guess what? There is. We call it the 20-second hook, and it's a super simple 3-part structure designed to grab your audience, validate the problem they're facing, and promise them a real solution, all before they even think about looking away. So let's break this thing down. It really comes down to 3 simple steps. First, we have the mirror. That's where you show them you get their pain. Second, the interrupt, where you reframe their problem with a fact that just makes them go, whoa. And third, the roadmap, where you promise them a clear path forward. Okay, let's dive right into step 1, the mirror. This is all about creating an instant, powerful connection by reflecting your audience's biggest frustration right back at them. Now, the psychology behind this is absolutely fascinating. When you put their internal frustration into words, you trigger something called cognitive dissonance. It's that uncomfortable feeling they get when their beliefs, like, I'm a really hard worker, crash into the reality, which is, I'm not getting the results I want. And that conflict creates this urgent, powerful need for a solution. And guess what? You've just positioned yourself as the one to give it to them. And what's so cool is that this works across totally different worlds. For time management, you're tapping into that awful feeling of being busy but not productive. For a palm oil exporter, you're hitting on their operational blindness to a huge compliance nightmare. And for an entrepreneur, it's that classic trap of productive procrastination, fiddling with the logo instead of actually finding customers. Each one is a direct hit on a very real, very painful frustration. So the main takeaway here is this. You find a deep-seated frustration, you make a bold claim that you can fix it, and by doing that, you create what's called an open loop. Our brains are just wired to seek closure. We can't stand an unfinished story, so they will absolutely stick around to see how you close that loop for them. Okay, so you've hooked them with their own pain. Fantastic. Now it's time for step 2, the interrupt. This is where you drop a surprising fact on them that completely shatters how they've been seeing their problem. And this is really the secret weapon of the interrupt. A powerful statistic validates their struggle. It basically says, hey, it's not just you. This isn't some personal failing. All of a sudden, you've created an external enemy, a systemic problem, and they feel understood, not judged. It's a game changer. And just look at how each of our examples uses a specific, almost shocking number. For time management, it's that 23-minute recovery time to get your focus back. For palm oil, it's that 80% of producers are on the brink of a compliance disaster. And for entrepreneurs, it's that staggering 42% who fail just because nobody actually wants what they built. Each of these stats makes the problem feel urgent and completely undeniable. We can actually quantify this. The total time you lose isn't just how long the interruption lasts, it's the length of the distraction plus that 23-minute recovery cost. So, 3 quick 1-minute interruptions can easily wipe out over an hour of your productive time. The math is just brutal. And it's even more black and white for our palm oil exporter. Look at this formula. You can have massive volume, the best price in the world, but if your compliance factor is 0 because you can't trace your product, well, then your export revenue is also 0. It's a simple switch between massive success and total failure. And for the entrepreneur, it's all about runway. Survival is runway. As you can see here, your runway is just your cash divided by your monthly burn rate. If you're spending money but not making any, that burn rate just keeps going up, and your runway gets shorter and shorter. Building without selling isn't just a bad habit, it's literally a mathematical path to failure. Okay, so you have mirrored their pain, you've interrupted their old way of thinking. Now for the final and maybe most crucial step, the roadmap. This is where you deliver on that initial promise. Now, let's be really clear. The roadmap is not a boring agenda. Nobody wants that. It is a quick, sharp preview of the exact value they're about to get. Think of it as the return on investment for their attention. And the key to making this whole thing work is one word: specificity. Just look how specific these promises are. You're not offering better time management. You're promising 2 hours back every single day. You're not vaguely talking about export success. You're giving them a framework so their shipment clears the port. And you're not talking about building a giant business. You're talking about getting your first paying customer in the next 48 hours. These are concrete, desirable, and believable outcomes. So the key principle to remember is that specificity is the currency of credibility. Vague promises are cheap, they're easy to ignore. Specific, tangible outcomes, now those are valuable. By promising something so concrete, you're clearly stating the ROI for their attention, and you're giving them a powerful reason to keep listening. All right, we've walked through all 3 steps. Now let's put it all together into a practical master key, a simple checklist you can use to craft your own powerful hooks starting today. Here it is. It's that simple. First, your visual hook. Its only job is to stop the scroll. Next, your vocal hook needs to immediately address their why. Then, you have the pivot, where you introduce your specific, achievable solution. And finally, you establish the stakes by using a powerful stat to prove this problem is real and it is urgent. This is your guide. And here is one last pro tip to really lock this all in. Think about your 20 seconds like this. The first 3 are purely visual, just enough to stop their thumb. The next 7 seconds are all emotional, where you connect with their pain. And the final 10 seconds are logical, where you lay out your clear plan. Visual, emotional, logical. Master that flow, and you've mastered the hook. So, there you have it. The mirror, the interrupt, and the roadmap. It's a simple but incredibly powerful framework for capturing attention in a world that is practically designed to distract us. The only real question left is, what's the first hook you're going to build with it?